Good afternoon, everybody. And this is Lydia Lupinto. And I'm broadcasting via Restream, a software package that allows me to stream to various channels at the same time. So today I want to introduce you to a product that I've developed called Investigative Voices. And it's innovative in that it uses AI to research a lot of information that normally you would not be aware of, because a lot of the search engines are really designed to sell you products. They're not designed to inform you like a newscast is. So if you go into Google and you type a certain keyword and you want to know something about climate change, you're either going to get advertisements about it or products about it, windmill companies, those kinds of things. And you're not going to get real information about it. And so I've decided that this kind of thing needs to be fixed by various publications taking on the task of researching the real information, which is there. It's just buried, and you're not going to find it. There's always opposing views on every topic, and both sides have something to say. And you need to be able to find that information in order to make informed decisions about how your government is going to regulate you. And so, this is the point of investigative voices. For as an example, on the screen, I have Mourning Our Whales. This is a book I wrote. Uh, we have two volumes of whales that have actually been murdered by the wind industry. And while they continue to confirm that these whales died as a result of being run over by ships, we never see the ships. There doesn't seem to be any ships where these whales land, and there certainly seem to be a lot of windmills and a lot of seismic testing going on, which tends to deafen the whales, confuse them, and eventually die. Or either they drown or starvation. It's painful for them. They have very sensitive hearing. So I tagged already 50 in the part one of the book. I'm working on part two, and it's called Mourning Our Whales. Each whale gets its own page with its own prayer, a picture, some information about the type of whale and how endangered they are. And each one has a name. And the trolls have attacked me left and right about a book about dead whales. You would not believe that a book that tenderly wants to honor the death of these animals, which are as intelligent as we are, if not more, and they're self aware. That's been proven scientifically. They can look in the mirror and know it's them. Okay. And the trolls have attacked me for publishing a book about mourning our whales. And that's because those trolls are really working for the wind industry. They have an entire investment on what they call bot farms, and they attack anyone that attacks them, because billions, literally billions, if not trillions of dollars are invested in wind farms around the world. This is not just in New Jersey. These whales that I identified are in New Jersey, just the East Coast, around where we live in New Jersey, East Coast. No, they have business all around the world, and of course, they don't want anybody to say that whales are being killed as a result of wind farms. They don't want you to know that. And it's sad because they have these bots, which are basically, if you were to look at where they come from, it's basically these rooms full of cell phones. each one representing a user, and they auto generate thousands and thousands of profiles and put out this narrative constantly. They attack anybody that posts anything that it goes contrary to what's going to sell them more windmills, which is what they want to do. They want to sell more windmills. Okay. This is what it's all about. It's all money. Um, and it's sad because Facebook doesn't do anything about it. And these bots are there constantly attacking anybody that posts anything that goes against their agenda. Not that that has bothered me. I have basically turned them around and actually used them for my own promotions, which is a good way to use the bots to help you make more sales. So, what we do here at Investigative Voices is generate not only these reports, of which I have about 10 or 15 now, in different topics. This one was about whales, but there's some on climate change, there's some on uh, cows in the dairy industry, there's some on wokeness, and a lot of them are what people consider to be conservative topics. But the fact is that they're just not agreeing with the leftist agenda. They don't agree. That doesn't mean I'm a conservative. I am not a MAGA person. I am not a pro Trump person or an anti Trump person. I really don't have a preference. My interest is that we find the truth, and I'm pro taxpayer, because if I find that taxpayers are being abused and being lied to and drained of revenue just to um, appease some vendors of windmills or vendors of solar panels, and it's all a big scam to get you to purchase products that you actually don't need, then I'm for the farmers, for example, who are being displaced off their lands to be replaced by larger corporations using other farming methods. I'm for the taxpayers that are being abused, the farmers who are being abused, and anyone around the world that is a victim of this type of movement, uh, like climate change and like other types of movements that really abuse and try to dominate the society. And definitely, I am not partisan in any way. I just don't vote for either party. I wait and see which one is going to be supporting the taxpayers. Okay, because we are the ones ultimately paying for all of this nonsense that they make up so they can enrich themselves. I'm not sure if Trump is helping. I'm waiting and seeing. I'm not sure. The liberals or the left certainly seem to be just looking for whatever money comes their way as far as donations. And usually the people with the most money do the most donations. And those are the corporations selling the windmills because they're making a lot of money. The farmer is making a lot of money. Whoever's making the most money is going to put out money to support a certain party. And in the case of the left, unfortunately, it has been more of the corporate money that has been supporting their activities. In the Trump, I think also different corporations are doing things like electric vehicles or like other types of systems, but it seems to me that we, the people, don't get any real representation. Okay, that it's all about whoever is producing a product that they want to sell to the public. It's not necessarily about whether we are better off as Americans or anywhere in the world. So consider me more of a neutral party. I don't think I'm, because I might be anti climate change, that it has to do with being a Republican. I'm not. Uh, just because I complain about whales being intentionally murdered through permits issued to wind farms. Actual permits to murder whales are issued. Um, that I'm a Republican or a conservative, I'm not. Absolutely not. It's just that I am looking for the truth. I want to investigate where the truth is. And usually you follow the money. So the money, unfortunately, is always something that they want to sell you, but you don't need. And that's really this like the used car salesman, you know. So this is who we are. Investigative Voices has a separate profile. I have the Lydia Lopinto profile, which I author many types of books, including a lot of children's books, which I sell at craft shows. And all those books really have environmental messages because ultimately I'm an environmentalist. Although I don't agree with the climate change agenda because I think it's ultimately harmful to the environment. But as far as environment, I'm pro supporting or the animals. I would like to preserve the animals. I would like to preserve indigenous farmers or small farmers that do not use GMO in those methods, hybrid methods. Um, and you will see that in my many publications, what I support. And but ultimately, my publications are not about my personal convictions. They're more about finding the truth. And what I have done with Investigative Voices is being that I am an AI expert and I use it for a lot of my publications. I've developed my own platform called IDA, and it is an add on to the artificial intelligence program to help it research information in a way that it skips over the propaganda. Because, as you know, if you go to Google, wherever you go, they're going to give you stuff that isn't really that relevant. Mostly they're trying to sell you products or they're promoting a particular point of view, whichever the Google CEO believes in, and they're not really giving you the truth. So we have our AI search engine go through multiple search engines, of which there are many that you may not be aware of because only Google seems to come up all the time. But either the Microsoft search engine or the Google search engine are going to give you similar results because they're both biased and commercialized. So we go through other search engines and places where you find articles that or publications that are peer reviewed, scientific, all kinds of places where we might find some information that is non-biased. We also go through a lot of the foreign publications, and with the miracle of AI, a foreign publication can be instantly translated. So we get information that normally we won't find here in the USA with the mainstream media. So with all this information, we can give you a report that gives you the data. Mostly we lean towards more conservative views about the environment. In other words, we want more conservation. We don't like windmills because they kill whales. We don't like a lot of different solutions that are being offered because we feel ultimately they hurt the animals. So if a solution is offered that may do more harm than good, then we're obviously going to be against it. But in the end, we do look for balanced views and balanced information out there, um, and try to cut through the propaganda because the propaganda is 90% of what you see in the Google. So this is what Investigative Voices does. And we have right now two products. We have, of course, the 10 reports that we produced, and now we have a new website, which I'm going to put on the comments here. It's called iVoices at Substack.com. Substack being a new platform that is great for small publishers who want to publish newsletters and podcasts like I do, and they can get their own audience this way. And I'm part of it now in I produced already about 30 articles. I have about 10 podcasts about mostly currently about climate change, but I may be going to other topics such as the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and other topics. So, investigative voices is about investigating the truth about any topic of concern to the taxpayers and to the general population, without the propaganda and the sales pitch. And so you may find other articles. Right now, I'm concentrating on climate change because there's so much information out there. There's a lot of issues going on with the farmers losing land and all kinds of regulations that are still being debated but being implemented, and a lot of people are suffering because of these regulations, which may or may not be misguided. So there's a lot of articles about that, a lot of data that I uncover, all kinds of useful information that anyone that's working in that field, if you're an activist or if you're just a victim of these regulations that may be totally misguided. As we know, bureaucrats are not scientists. They just go and regulate based on whoever pays them the most money. Uh, and they don't necessarily know the science or understand it. And there certainly is no consensus, even though they say it's consensus. There's not. There's a lot of people that do not agree with the climate change so-called settled science. It's not settled by any means. It's just a propaganda machine because, of course, they make money off of it. And when somebody makes money off something, they'll tell you it's a great product, like cigarettes were a great product or Coca-Cola was a great product. All of these things were great products because the marketing department told you it was a great product. But in reality, it wasn't. And when someone's got to make money out of an idea and they promote it as if it was Coca-Cola, it's the same thing with climate change. There are trillions of dollars at stake that someone will make by promoting the climate change agenda. So you will find out that information with all the references and all the receipts in my Investigative Voices reports, and also in the Investigative Voices newsletter, which is available on Substack. And there you can interact, you can leave comments, there are podcasts, there are lots of references, and there's even a social media portion of it that you can cooperate in too. So Substack.com is where we live now as Investigative Voices, although we have a profile under Facebook as well that streams some of the information that we do. Right now, we're streaming onto my Lydia Lopinto account, but this video will be linked to the Investigative Voices profile so that everybody knows. We have on Facebook a community of people that are the resistance of some of these policies. They're being trolled by the industry with these bots, which apparently Facebook does nothing about. And they're separated into several types of groups. One of the things I'm trying to do is unify those groups so they have one central place to go and they can feel that there is somebody out there supporting them with some information. One of the hardest things you have as an activist against these is that you don't have the resources to research the information you need to counteract the narrative. And the narrative seems to be designed by marketers and not scientists. Okay. So the narrative is always exaggerated by a factor of 10 or 100. Okay. In order to install fear and to force you to buy the product that they're selling. So, and a lot of times it's just to increase your taxes because that's the easiest way to get money. You don't have to sell anybody anything, you just force them to pay taxes, okay, for things that they make up. So, people are beginning to see the heavy pressure that these pretty insane regulations are bringing up on the world. And there are a lot of protests around, which the media in the USA does not seem to be covering. Okay, so I cover those. I have articles about those. I'm worldwide. I look at information from Ireland, from the Netherlands, from India. You'll see all that information. I don't just cover the United States. We are not as affected by this as other countries, possibly because of the Trump administration. But he is the only one right now holding the line. If Trump was not around, our farmers would have to give up their land. They would have to kill their cows, and we would have to start inserting insect protein into our foods and hamburgers and everything, like they're doing in Canada, like they're doing in the UK, like they're doing in the Netherlands and other places. They're already implementing these regulations because they feel that meat is carbon intensive, but insects are not. Well, pound for pound, just quickly as an engineer, if you make a pound of protein, you're going to create the same amount of carbon dioxide as meat would, because protein is protein and it's made from certain compounds, and you're going to expel methane, you're going to expel carbon dioxide. So there's no difference whether you eat bugs or you eat a cow. It's just a matter of preference, you know. Uh, but what they're trying to do is land. In other words, it takes less land to grow bugs inside a big greenhouse. And then, but it takes a tremendous amount of labor that it's not the same amount of labor for cows. So a lot of the insects are going to come from China, where they have the labor to produce these things. But there has never been any studies made as to the long-term effects of adding insect protein to children's lunches, which they're doing already, because we're simply, insects are not part of our diet and never have been. So whether human digestive systems can handle insects is yet to be determined, but yet they're already implementing these things without a full study of the long-term effects. And we will see long-term effects of these things in the future, but they don't seem to think that they need to wait to find out what the long-term effects of these products are. They just introduce them, or they force people to take them, which makes no sense whatsoever from the health point of view. So take a look at my profile. I have it linked to my main profile, Lydia Lopinto. Take a look at the Investigative Voices profile. In there, you're going to find links to the Substack newsletter. You're going to find links to the books. You're going to find constant posts and connections to a variety of groups that are fighting this. And my aim is to give them the information they need to do their jobs, and to unify them, and to also give them a voice by sharing some of their posts into my group, so into my profile, so that we can cross post all of those posts, and whenever I see a really good article that they post in one of these groups, I try to link it to mine so that now other people can see it. So it's kind of a unifying group. It also has a newsletter, and we generate our own articles. And I think you're going to find very useful information. As I said, this is not a political group. I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist. I'm not interested in political parties. I don't think there's any benefit in that. Um, so I may or may not support certain things that the Trump administration does. Uh, and that's irrelevant because I'm only concentrating on these regulations that are affecting people right now. And that's the only focus right now. I can only focus on one thing at a time. I also have to run the books part of the business where we sell the children's books, which are very much environmentally oriented. They're all about protecting the animal world. So thank you very much. And I've stopped posting. Some people might know that I have a lot of satire out there. I've stopped posting satire because things are so bad that we can't laugh anymore about any of it. It's serious stuff, and people have to really get educated, get the facts. Don't listen to the narrative because, as I said, the narrative is trying to sell you Coca Cola, even if it rots your teeth. Okay, it's the same thing. Um, they're going to try to sell you the sexy Coca Cola, and they're not going to tell you about the fact that your kid is going to be eating bugs at school, and who knows what's that going to do to his digestive system. Okay, these are things that a lot of people that I've talked to about these regulations are unaware that they exist because the media in the United States is keeping it under wraps. But there are people in other countries suffering and demonstrating and protesting because these regulations are inhuman. So if you're not aware of these regulations of what's going on around the world, take a look at my articles. I make them succinct so you can read them fast, you can get the information, and at the bottom of each article, there's going to be references so that now you can click and go to these or just paste the information and go to those articles from around the world, and you can get the actual data that you need. Okay, so those articles will help you get the education fast without having to go googling around or trying in search engines or getting information from the internet. People just post random quotes or random charts, and nothing's really referenced properly. So here it's all nicely organized and referenced, and then with articles we're updating. We're already updating some of our earlier reports. I put together a document that you can purchase for a low price and just have it in print so you can refer to it, because a lot of times you just want all this information into one report. So if you want to bring this report to your next meeting or town meeting or anything like that, you have those references ready for you to look at. You can then now cut and paste them into your research engine, or you can quote them, but everything is there, all the receipts that you need if you want to fight a particular regulation in your town or something that really doesn't seem right. You can have these reports, and you can have all the information in one place. And then this is in addition to the articles, because they're published after the articles go through the latest information. So it's a constant updating of information uh, with our articles. So thank you very much, and take a look at my books at Cloverleaf Publications. You'll have the children's books, you'll have the anxiety books, and here at Investigative Voices in Substack, you're going to find all of the articles and links to the reports, which are also available on Amazon. So if you have any questions, definitely contact me. If you're a troll trying to sell Coca-Cola to the rest of the world and telling them that it won't rot their teeth, please don't bother me. I've had it with the bots, and I'm not going to be kind. So please go away. Okay, thank you very much.